Hello, everyone. Good day. Good afternoon. I'm Victoria Inebili, and this is another office hour with me. So, yeah, we probably got introduced to CXS properly this week, right? And we have some assignment already. So, as usual, I'm going to attend to questions from the form and then do a form of practical, right, to explain some really practical questions. So I hope you all can hear me, right? So I'm just going to dive right in. I have like 14 people on the call already. That is 14 people live on YouTube. So yeah. So I got general questions apart from CSS questions, and I'm just going to address them. So right, if you were not able to submit your tax last week, so sorry, there are no tax extensions, right? 1 week is actually enough for you to do any tax that was given to you, and we're not going to be extending deadlines. The next question says, I'm trying to log into Zerryboard, but it's not working. So you want to be sure that you're logging in with the right link, right? For me right now, take this out. So for the right link is w2.zerryboard.com. So you want to make sure that you're trying the right site, right? If you use zerryboard.com, it's not going to take you to your login page for code too. So make sure that you're using the right link, right? w2.zerryboard.com, and you should be fine. Also, all tags are being graded, so you have no worries. No need to worry about anything. If your tax has not been graded, please be informed that we are grading the tax, and you'll soon get a notification that your tax has been graded. We're grading everybody's tax, and we are doing this tirelessly. So we are grading continuously, non-stop. Right? So I got another question about the assignment, right? But we finish the general question first. So VS Code is so somebody is asking, how do I use VS Code to submit my assignment? So please, VS Code is an offline code editor, right? So you have it installed on your computer and you code directly into it. You cannot submit your assignments through an offline editor because it is offline and it is your computer. We cannot see your work, right? We can't see your work if it's offline. So that's why we're asking you to use an online IDE, replit. The assignment says use replit for submission. You're not supposed to use VS Code for submission. VS Code, we are going to definitely be using VS Code to code. But as at this point in time, you're asked to submit your assignment through replit. When we get to Git and GitHub, you'll be able to submit your assignment through VS Code. How would you do that? You use VS Code to submit your assignment by pushing from VS Code to Git. So you push your work from VS Code to GitHub, and then we're not going to access it from the online platform GitHub, right? So anything you're doing in your VS Code, we can't access it, right? We can't access it except you do what? You push it to an online platform. So from VS Code, you push your work to GitHub, right? You push your work to GitHub, and we're not going to get your work from GitHub and grade it. But right now, I've not introduced you guys to Git and GitHub because this is a beginner-friendly class, so we want to carry everyone along. So as far as we've not introduced it, we want you to submit your work using Replit. So do have to follow the instructions. If you go and submit a GitHub link, you will fail. We're not saying that using a GitHub link is bad. It is good. But as far as the instruction is concerned, you will fail because you were asked to submit a Replit link. So the next question. So somebody is asking for the replit, for the CodePen, should I create multiple pages? First of all, you're not supposed to use CodePen to submit your assignment. So the question is even totally wrong. Do not use CodePen for your assignment, use replit. And for replit, you're not supposed to submit multiple links. So you're supposed to submit one link, right? So when you open replit, when you go to replit.com, I've explained this in other tutorials, right? Other live classes. So I'm just going to open a replit here. And then this one. So this is it. You're just submitting one link, just one link, right? If I copy this now, let me check this on incognito and see what happens. So as you can see, my network is not so good. But as you can see, it opens up this intro replit that I created, right, on incognito. It opens it up, right? So the link you're submitting, just going to take this away. So the link you're submitting is this link here, right? This link here, just this link here. And it should contain your code like this and your output, right? We ourselves can decide to expand if we want to expand it, right? But what you're submitting is this page here that contains your code and your output. You can link your documents together. As you can see here, I have index.html, right? And I have vic.html here, right? And this place says this is my resume. This one says index.html. Index.html. So index.html here, I have click here to see my resume, right? As you can see, I linked the vic.html in here by using the A tag, the anchor tag. By using the anchor tag, I linked this vic.html in here by using the anchor tag, right? And everything works. If I click on this place here where I connected it, you see that this is my resume, which is what I have here in vic.html, right? So that is how you link your pages together. You just write, your code is not running because you're not following the instruction. In Replit, you must have an index.html file. You can have extra HTML files and name it different names. But you see that first file, index.html, you must have it as index.html. You must have it as index.html, right? Do not do not change the index. If you change the index, it's not going to run, right? And everything that you're going to run, going to run is through this index.html page, right? I have connected this page here. Yeah, I can create another page now. Let's say I'm creating the register page. Register.html, right? So let me just quickly. So let's say I have the head. Just let that open. And I have here, welcome to register page. So I just created a new page and I have in the body section, welcome to register page. Now, for me to see this page, you cannot be copying the register page link, this and that. No. For me to see this page, for it to work, right? You now come to index.html, right? Maybe there's a place here that you now put in something like the click here, register, right? So you're going to be using a form, so you're building a portfolio, right? You should know how to, make your work beautiful, how to connect the register page. So there should be a register button that they can click, right? And it takes you to the register page. So I can make here an anchor tag. I can put an anchor tag there. Just going to put the href. I'm going to link this. So now it says about Victoria. Click here to see my resume. Click here to register. There's a space there. So click here to register. It says click here to register. So once I click here now, it now takes me to the register page. Welcome to register. So these things I'm explaining right here, they have been explained in detail. That we explained very, very well in the resources. We sent out these resources so that you can consume them, right, and do your tasks. Every single thing in your tasks has been explained in the resources, right? So if you have watched the resources, you shouldn't be having so much issues, right? So please, if you've not watched the resources, do well to watch the resources, right? So I've been getting a lot of questions about the success page, and I'm going to, I'm just going to create a very small, a very um a very simple form and then show you what it means to have a success page on submit. So, but before I proceed, those of you that are asking if we can pause learning, sorry, we cannot pause learning. If you cannot continue the training, we feel so bad about that, but you might have to, try another training, maybe come back next time. But we cannot pause training because there are thousands of people in the cohort, and we cannot pause the training because of one person, right? So for CSS, yes, you can apply a single CSS style to different pages, right? So we have our CSS file here. Let's say you have a style. You have a style, let's say for all your H1 tag. For all your H1 tag, let's say you are saying the color of the H1 text should be red, right? The color of the H1 text should be red. This is a CSS file, and you have it connected to this index.html file here. You can also have it linked to the vic.css, right? It's even linked here already. So let's say we have an h1 tag here. We have an h1 tag. Hello. Right? This is an h1 tag in vic.html. And we'll go to index.html. So let's let's refresh this. So as you can see that index.html. Now I applied the style here. This style.css. I said all the h1 tags should have the color red. So I linked this style to my index.html. And as you can see, the h1 tag here about Victoria is red, right? If I go to my vic.html, right, click here to see my resume. Vic.html. Let me see if I have that there. This is connected. So as you can see, if I you can see about Victoria, right? If I click on this place to see my resume, you can see there that the yellow shows red too. So I can apply a single CSS file to multiple HTML file, and it just makes your work easier, because any edits that you make here now will not like affect all the HTML file that you have connected it to. So automatically, if you change it to pink, it will update itself. This file vic.html, the h1 tag there will be pink, and the index.html, the h1 tag about Victoria will also be pink. So you can add the HTML CSS file, the CSS style sheets to different HTML pages. So I'm just going to go to my VS Code right now. I'm going to use my VS Code right now. So let me move this here. Right. So yeah, so we have index.html. So I'm just going to put in the HTML structure here. And voila, I have my HTML structure. So I'm just going to explain the question I've been getting, because I checked the form and I got so many questions on, please, how do I make the success page? How do I make the success page? The likes. So the success page is just basically a page that pops up when you submit your form, right? A page that should pop up when the person has submitted the form, right? So I'm going to create a very simple form. I'm going to create a very simple form and have us understand the concept of what you're being asked to do. So let's dive straight in. Okay, yeah. So to have a form, you actually use the form tag, right? Use the form tag to have a form. It's a very, very simple form we're going to create. So I think I should split my screen. Let's do this. Let's put this side by side. So, I also got a question about splitting screen. So it's actually very, very easy. Just minimize and just shift your screen like this. You put your mouse on top here, and then you hold down your left click button, right? And you can move your terminal like this. So you just put it at the side, right? Just put it at the side. You can use, if you put your mouse like this on top here, you can see that there's this arrow, two arrow-sided line. So you just hold it down again with your left click button and make it smaller, right? So I can have this one, yeah. I'm going to push this to the top, right? Going to drag this down. I'm going to shift this again. So just like this. So I'm going to open this with Lifesaver so I can see the screen. So cool. That's just it. So it is actually because of this kind of things when you want to, be coding at the same time, seeing your output on another screen in a very broad way. It is because of this reason that we have things like extra screens. You see developers having extra screens. They use one for coding, one for output, or one for maybe watching a video, a tutorial, and want to practice and stuff like that. So this is just the concept behind having an extra screen. So yeah. So I'm just going to create a simple HTML form, and for you to create a form, you have the form tag. So how to create forms and validate forms. There's a video on it. It's in the resources. So if you don't know how to create form, if you don't know how to make a form, you should probably watch the resources, right? Because everything has been explained in details in the resource, right? Everything has been explained in details. So I'm just going to have a form, and in this form, I'm going to have an action. This is an action with form, right? What should the form do? So what should the form do on submit? That is the action. So I'm just going to, put in something there to help us understand better. So I'm going to give my form, first of all, a div tag, right? So let's give it a container kind of. So give it a container. So I want my form to have this initial container, right? I'm just going to give it a class of container. So why I'm doing this, why I'm wrapping my form in a, that's why I'm wrapping the first section of my form in a div tag, is because I actually want to be able to design this easily, right? So I'm just going to give it a class there. Then inside here, I can start putting in what I want to put in. So I want to first of all have an h1 tag that just says this is a register. But let's just say register page, right? So when anybody comes here, the person just already automatically knows that, oh, this is a register page, right? So now that is the register page. The next thing I'll do is I'll give the viewer a set of instructions. So I'm like, oh, the person has seen that the register page. So please fill in the form. I'm telling the person now what to do. Please fill in the form to register. So the person automatically knows that, oh, I have to fill in this form to be registered. Yeah, as simple as that. So after this now, I've told the person what to do. What next? There has to be somewhere to put in something, right? There has to be somewhere to put in the details of the person. So I'm just going to put in, let's have an HR here. Let's have a line. So we have a line right there. And let's give this a label. So I want the person to just go directly and put in, I just want a very simple form. So I want the person to just put in an email, right? So I have to have a label that says email, right? And then under this label, I have to put in an input tag. The input tag actually enables the person viewing to, be able to input in something. That is just what the input tag means. So the input tag, I'm going to give the input tag. The input tag is an open-ended tag, right? It's an open-ended tag. So inside, I'm going to tell my computer, oh, the type of this is text. I want the person to be able to type text, right? Just to be able to type in text. And then I'm going to also tell my computer, okay, the placeholder. So the placeholder, the placeholder should be enter email. You can see it here. This is the so the person okay, the person does not like see this. Enter your email. You don't have any excuse to say, oh, you don't know that's an email. Section. So enter your email, right? And then we have name. You can actually make, you don't need to put enter your email if don't want to, you can put something like blah blah blah. That's email looks like, right? So you can put that as a placeholder. Then you have to give your name, the name of your inputs. You have to give it the email and email. That's the content like art and stuff like as email. That's like a validation. Right. So you give the idea, you give it an ID of email, and then you have to, set it to required. So this required will make sure that the individual actually fills in this part of the form, right? It's to make sure that the individual actually fills in that part of the form. That's mean that's mean of required to understand better, right? The resource is actually very, very detailed. So yeah, I have the section right now. So I can just, format this. So I just formatted my text so you can see like it's better now, right? So that's my input. So I can have label again for password, right? Now I want them to put in the password after putting in the email, right? So put in a password and and I'm going to put in the input, right? As usual. For the input tag, I'm going to give this input tag. There's a mistake here. It's not type, it's type. I'm going to give him a type of password, right? Because when you give the input type a type of text, it's going to show plain. It's not going to like hide the password. So the input type password automatically informs your computer that, oh, you want this to be hidden. So there should be a level of privacy. So password, and then let's say press so I in password, right? And we give this a name. The name will be PSW, which is password. The ID will also be PSW, which is still password, right? And the set to required. So as easy as that. So I think this is okay. This is okay. So for your register form, obviously, you're going to have a repeat password or maybe like a name, depending on the instructions, right, from the assignment. But this is just to, help you understand something as easy as that, right? So now I just have the email and password. So I'm just going to go on here and just format this again. So I'm going to format with prettier. Cool. So right now I'm going to have my submit, right? I'm going to have my submit button. So if once the user puts in the name and password, what next? The user should be able to click on submit, right? So before the submit, we can have something like, let's say we have an HR just to make this better. HR just simply means fine. And then we have something like a P tag. Then we're like, I creating this account, or let's say by registering. So I already agree to so let's put this in an anchor tag. So so you just put in the anchor tag there. And if you have a terms and condition that you want them to, read, you can put it there. But I don't have any terms and conditions, so I'm just going to put the hash symbol, which just simply means, oh, I don't have any terms and condition, right? I'm just going to close that up, and I'm like terms and condition, like this. So just something like this, right? And the person knows, oh, for me to create this, I'm agreeing to their terms and condition, right? And then we can now have a submit button, right? The submit button is actually important because that is when that is how the user gets to submit the work, right? Without the submit button, how can the user submit the form? No way, right? Absolutely no way. So I'm just going to have a button. Oh, can you hear me now? Okay, you should be able to hear me now, please. That was a glitch in my network. So I'm just going to have the submit button, right? So the submit button is just going to be a button, and I'm just going to name the button submit, right? Oh, I'm going to name the button register since it's a register page. So I'm going to name my button register, right? So I can give this my button a class, right? I can give it a class to, use and style my button. But it's obviously maybe not necessary because I only have one button right here. So I can just call button and design. Let's just give it a class. So a class register BTN. That's fine. So a class register BTN. And I'm going to give this a type submit, right? A type submit. Right, I've given it a type submit. Yeah, and we are close. So we have a form right here. So I can let's give this our form a design, right? So let me put this, since this is like the footer of my page of my register section. I'm just going to, okay, there's no need for that. So we have this, this is okay. So let's go to our index.css, and for the universal selector, this universal selector just simply means I'm selecting every single thing about the page and I'm saying, oh, apply this. So I'm going to give this a box sizing of border. Right, so I'm saying that every element, it should have a box sizing of border box. So that is it. So if you watch the tutorial, right, you should understand clearly what border box is. Understand clearly what border box is. So now I have border box there. So I can now start. Remember that here my index.html, I give this ODiv a class of container, right? So I can style this now. So I can style this using the class. Every style I'm going to be applying to the container class will be applied to all this, right? So I'm just going to go there and call container. Container is a class, so for you to call it, use the full stop. Cool. So first of all, I'd like to make my container 50% of my whole page. I'm going to give that a width of 50%, right? So I'm giving my container container, confirm this, my index.html. So I give this a class of container, right? Right, so let me give here first of all background color to see container. So yes, I'm giving this. Okay. So this is not working because obviously I do not have my CSS connected to my HTML. So these are like the little mistakes you can make. If your CSS is not connected to your HTML, you just be thinking what could be the problem. But meanwhile, your CSS is not just connected. So what's the relationship between these two? Style sheet, right? And then I'm going to do ref of index.css. Right, I'm going to close this up. So you can see now the styles are now like getting applied to it. So you want to make sure that your style sheet is always linked to your HTML page. So yeah, so I don't need that background color. I just wanted to see that. So let's change the width of 50% of our page. So one thing about responsive designs, percentage actually makes your work better. You understand? 50% just simply means that every screen at all, like anywhere you open this register page, it will always show us 50%. It will always show us 50%, right, of the screen. But if I put something like pixels, 500 pixels right now, put something like 500 pixels, or let's say for example, I have this as 2000 pixels. You start saying scroll bar. You say scroll bar, which is terrible. And any device you open it on will still have the scroll bar as far as the device is smaller than 2000 pixels. But once you put when you give it a percentage, right? So 50 percentage, it will always just adjust itself to any screen size at all. Right. So I have it as 50% of my page right now. And I'm just going to give my container. I want to give my container a padding. So I'm just going to pad my container. So I can give my container a padding of 20 pixels. So the padding just simply means just pad it, right? Give your container this space. This let me give it a border. So the border one goes. So it has a border. It has a border now, right? If I remove this padding right now, Control/ to comment that out, you can see that it has no padding, right? So this padding actually just gives you the space in the container, pads it, right? So I have that padding there, and I think I'm okay with that. It might not be the finest form, but I'm just trying to illustrate my point. So yeah, so I think I'm okay with this container right now. I don't need this. I don't need the border. I don't know. So I'm just going to design my inputs right now. So I want my inputs, the inputs column to go under the email. So I'm just going to give the inputs. I'm going to start my inputs. I'm calling the inputs tag, right? The input tag. So anything that I'm actually applying there is going to be applied to all the inputs, right? It's going to be applied to all the inputs. So I think I'll make my container 70% to make it look better, right? 70%. So basically CSS is just looking at your work and making it look beautiful. So as you're working, you're seeing what you're doing. Is it beautiful? Is it fine? Just make it look fine with all the attributes and everything that comes with CSS, right? So I can now like give my width of my input. I want to give it 100% width, right? Cool. So now it's underneath the labels, right? So I'm going to give it 100% width, and then I can give it a padding of, let's say I want to give this padding of 10 pixels. So you can see that my input is not like bigger because of the padding, right? Compared to when I did not have the padding, it was way slimmer, but I want the padding to make it look finer, right? So I can give my input tag a background color. So a background color. You know, one thing about designs is having a very simple design. You don't need to do too much coloration, like give it too much colors. You can just make it very simple with mild colors, and it's still like very beautiful. So I'm just going to give this color. So you can see that um, my input tag, the colors have changed, right? The colors have changed. So this I want this my email, right, to separate from my input. So I can just give my email my input imagine, right? Imagine top of 10 pixels. I think 10 pixels should be too much. Oh, it's actually okay, right? I can give it imagine bottom of 10 pixels. Right? So my form is already looking beautiful. Cool. So now the margin has separated the email from the input box, right? And this color actually looks pretty cool, right? So I have it looking this way already, and I can add more things. What can I add? What can I add? I think this is actually good. This is actually good. So I'm just going to stop that. It's a very simple form. So I can design my button, right? My register button. I can make it look better. I can make my register button look better. So what design should I put? Right. Apart from this, I can also use the pseudo. I can use the pseudo selector here. So pseudo selector, and I'm going to, give it a state, and say on focus, right? The focus state. So anytime a user is on the input, once the user clicks on it, I can give it a different background color, right? I can give it a different background color on focus. So maybe I can say, let me just show you so it will be very obvious first. So a background color, I can give it red, and you see that once I come here and I click on this, it turns red. So that is just what it does. So the input tag on focus, when the user is like focused on it, like imputing on it, it should turn red, right? So I can give it red, or I can give it a much milder color like DDD. And if I click on this now, you can see it's like a dimmer color of the normal one, right? And that is actually pretty cool. So that is that, and I can now, if you look at this, you can see that this has border, right? I think it would be better without borders. So I want to, first of all, remove the border from here. So I want to say, I don't want my input tag to have borders. So border equals to none. So you see now that my input tag does not have border, and it looks finer, right? It looks beautiful. So, but if I click on this now, you can see that it still has border. So I can come here and say, for this to, I don't have border. So pretty. So I have my form looking very beautiful already. So I can now like design my button. So how can I design my button? I can make my button bigger. I can give it a color. I can, make it to change color when I hover on it and stuff like that. And yeah. So I hope you guys can stay. So I have what did I give this? Let's go to index HTML, and I gave this a class. Oh, I gave it a class register BTN. So I'm just going to call that class. So register BTN, right? I'm going to put my, yes, cool. So I'm just going to design my register btn. So I can first of all start with giving it a width. So I want the width, I want it to be as big as the inputs, this input tags, right? I want it to be as big as this input tags. So I can give it a width, right? I can give it a width of 100%, a width of 100%. Now I need you to understand something. This 100% is actually in reference to, with reference to the original 70%. So the container has 70%. So every other percent I'm actually giving it is based on the original container. So if I'm giving it 100% here, it means that it's actually basically just having 70% of the whole screen, right? So that is that. I can now give I can give it a, I can make it, I can make it, I can give the focus, because right now, if you see it, it's showing like a mouse. I can say cursor, I can say cursor should be equal to point, right? So when I come here now, it changes to pointer, you can see, right? I can also give it a padding, just like my input. I gave my input a padding of 10 pixels, so I think that works. 10 pixels. And my button is bigger, right? Or let's make this 8 pixels. Let's make it 10. So I can give the border radius, right? I can make you can see the border now, the border of this. I can make the border rounded, right? I can make it rounded, less sharper. So I can give this a border radius. I can just give this a border radius of 5 pixels, right? Border radius just simply makes your border rounder. And as you can see, it's now rounder. If I make this 15, you want to notice see, I made it 51 and it's way rounder. So depending on what you want to do. So I think it actually looks cool. So let's leave it that way. So I can give it a color, a background color of green. So right, cool. I think this is nice. So I give it a background color of green. So this my text here. I can change it to any color I want to change it to. This anchor tag, I can come here and do a, right, and say, oh, color of a color should be green, and it's automatically turned to green. Are you saying? So you can change the color of your anchor tag too, right? So now I've changed the color of my BTN, and I can background color refers to the background color. White color refers to the color. I can give my text color white, right? And this looks cool, right? So you can go on and on. Right here, as you can see, I have as you can see, just like this, and you can see that the form is already like working, because as I click on register now, it's saying validate form. It's saying please fill in this. I can't register without filling in that. So I can come here and still give I can give it an overstate, right? I can say dot register btn on over, give it a background. I can just reduce the background color, right? I can give it an opacity. Opacity just makes your background color lighter. So I can give it an opacity of opacity is from 0 to 1. So I give it an opacity of 0.5. Let's say 0.5. And when I over on this, are you seeing the change? When I over on this, see the change. Over on this, see the change. So the 0.5 is too light. So I can give it 0.9. And it's just very mild. You can see, very mild. So that's what opacity does for you. And you can also use opacity to make your background image transparent too, right? Right. Yes. I love simple forms. Simple is beautiful, right? That what I believe simple is fine. Right. Cool. So we have this very, very easy. So now how do you connect your this to the success form? So you go back to your index of HTML now. Go back to your index of HTML and you just create an extra HTML file. Name this HTML file success page.html. So success page of HTML is a success page, right? So it should have something beautiful there. Oh, voila, you completed your submission, you completed your submission or stuff like that. I can't find that now. I'm running out of time. But let's say you have just an H1 here that says you registered successfully. Cool. This is just what I have in my success page. I can now come here now to my index.html and link that success page. I'm going to make this and link that success page to my form. So this form action is just like this form action can be used to, redirect the user to somewhere else. Okay, when you submit the form, what should happen? So when you submit the form, I want the person to now see success page.html. And that is the success page we're talking about. So action equals to success page.html. So first of all, as I click this, it cannot take me to success page because it's telling me I must fill in my details, right? So, and until I fill in my details correctly, it's not going to take me there, right? So let's just get a password. So I've given it a password. Now I register and it says, voila, you registered successfully. So you get registered successfully. So this is very, very easy. This is actually, and now it's even asking me to save. So this is actually very, very easy. So that is just it. That is just it. And then maybe you can skillfully add something like, oh, okay, in register, in success page, can I add something like click, maybe can just skillfully add something. So say I want to go back to the page, It's supposed to have a navigation bar, right? It's supposed to have a navigation bar that the user will be able to use to navigate back. So let's assume that we just have this. So text.html, right? So this is supposed to be in a p tag at least. So yeah, so I can now have click here to register a new account. So I can now go back to my register form. So it's supposed to have a navigation bar, right? For this to. So I see your request about having the correction for the other assignments. That's actually a great idea. So we'll make our time for that, right? So but for now, I hope you really understand how to, use the success page. So it's just register, right? Put in your password, register, and voila, you registered successfully. And that can be achieved by simply adding the success page.html to the action, right? And that is as easy as that. So yeah, I saw your request. We're going to look into doing corrections for assignments. So that's amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I am so glad to have this class, and I hope I added to your wealth of knowledge. So there'll be another class I think another mentor should have another class. So I don't want to, disrupt the preparation of the other mentor. So I'm going to end the class now. Thank you guys for attending. Your assignment to be graded, right? So every single thing I did here, do not be confused. Every single thing I did here is just coding, and you can do that directly in your replit. You can do that directly in your replit. You just have to type in everything that I typed there here, right? I just have to type it here, and I have to just put my sockets.html here and link it just exactly the same way, right? That is the same way you use replits. There's no difference. The only difference is that replits, you must have an index.html file, unlike VS Code. In VS Code, I can decide not to make my HTML file index.html. I can give it any name. I must not have an index.html file. But replit demands that there must be a file that is called index.html, and that is just the difference. Yeah. So thank you so much for attending my class. See you all later. Bye.